The most precious currency of the modern global economy is not time, but energy. We live in a hyper-connected, fast-paced world that is systematically obsessed with time management, pushing us to squeeze every single drop of productivity out of our precious 24 hours. In their groundbreaking corporate paradigm shift, The Power of Full Engagement, authors Jim Loehr and Tony Schwartz present a radical biological thesis that completely overthrows this conventional wisdom. Managing time is a fool's errand if you lack the vital energy to fill it. Through decades of intensive athletic testing at the Human Performance Institute, the authors reveal that high performance is not a function of working longer hours, but of mastering the delicate, rhythmic dance between energy expenditure and energy recovery. By treating corporate executives not as computers to be endlessly run, but as elite corporate athletes who must be systematically trained, the book provides a precise, biological framework to prevent burnout and achieve sustainable excellence. To understand why so many ambitious individuals hit a wall of exhaustion, we must isolate the core systemic flaw of our modern work ethic, the linear myth. We are culturally conditioned to believe that the human body behaves like a machine that can be run at maximum capacity for 8, 10, or 12 hours straight without facing serious consequences. We sit at desks for half a day, staring at screens, drinking synthetic stimulants, and ignoring our body's desperate physical signals of fatigue. Loehr and Schwartz force us to realize that human beings are fundamentally oscillatory creatures, designed by nature to pulse rhythmically between periods of intense effort and deep rest. Our biological systems operate on ultradian rhythms, 90 to 120-minute cycles during which our energy peaks and then naturally drops, demanding a brief period of recovery. When you override these natural biological pulses by force of will, your body doesn't just keep running smoothly, it begins to secrete floods of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline to keep you alert. This constant state of hyperarousal provides a toxic, temporary illusion of productivity, while quietly destroying your cellular health, impairing your long-term cognitive processing, and burning out your capacity for deep, creative thought. Full engagement requires us to align our work with our biology, actively breaking our days down into highly focused sprints, followed by intentional, strategic recovery breaks. This performance framework is built entirely on 4 interconnected, independent dimensions of energy: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Physical energy serves as the absolute, foundational fuel for all other dimensions of human performance. It doesn't matter how brilliant your mind is or how passionate your soul feels if you are physically exhausted, nutritionally starved, and running on 4 hours of broken sleep. The authors demonstrate that the baseline of physical energy is governed by 3 major inputs: sleep hygiene, nutritional timing, and physical movement. The human body requires deep, restorative sleep to clear out toxic cellular waste from the brain and repair damaged tissue. Furthermore, eating large, heavy meals spikes your insulin and plunges your brain into a state of lethargic fog, which is why the corporate athlete must transition to eating small, nutrient-dense meals every few hours to maintain a perfectly flat, stable blood sugar level. Physical movement acts as a direct biological catalyst. Taking a brief, brisk walk every 90 minutes increases blood flow, flushes the brain with fresh oxygen, and resets your autonomic nervous system. If you systematically neglect this physical foundation, your emotional resilience and mental clarity will inevitably collapse under the slightest weight of professional pressure. Once the physical foundation is secure, you must actively cultivate the second dimension of the performance pyramid: emotional energy. To perform at your highest level under stress, You must maintain access to positive, high-energy emotions like confidence, challenge, openness, and joy. When an individual becomes chronically overworked, their emotional state naturally degrades into low energy, highly toxic negative states like defensiveness, frustration, anxiety, and fear. These negative emotional states are not just unpleasant mental experiences, they are incredibly expensive drain on your physical energy reserves. When you feel threatened or anxious, your body shifts into a mild, chronic fight-or-flight response, burning through its glycogen stores at an alarming rate and leaving you completely drained by mid-afternoon. Loehr and Schwartz argue that just as physical muscles require rest to rebuild after a heavy workout, our emotional muscles require positive renewal to stay resilient. This renewal cannot be passive. It requires you to actively engage in activities that bring you genuine joy, connection, and psychological safety, completely separate from your professional duties. Taking time to laugh with a friend, read a novel, or engage in a creative hobby is not an indulgent waste of time. It is a vital, non-negotiable strategy to replenish the emotional fuel tank required to survive high-stakes environments. This brings us directly to the third dimension of the framework, mental energy, which governs our capacity for focus, critical thinking, and cognitive flexibility. The greatest enemy of modern mental energy is the toxic, highly celebrated illusion of multitasking. When you attempt to write a script, check your email, check your phone notifications, and think about a future project all at the same time, you are not actually processing multiple streams of data simultaneously. Instead, your brain is engaged in continuous, rapid task switching, a highly erratic process that incurs a massive cognitive switching cost. Each time your attention shifts from one task to another, a fraction of your mental energy is left behind, creating a state of cognitive residue that leaves you feeling scattered, anxious, and deeply unproductive. True mental sharpness requires radical, singular focus, the ability to channel the absolute entirety of your attention into one single objective for a concentrated block of time. Furthermore, the authors reveal a profound paradox regarding our cognitive faculties. Mental muscles, like physical ones, grow stronger only when we push them past their current comfort zones. If you never challenge your mind with deep, difficult, complex reading or problem solving, your cognitive capacity will naturally atrophy over time. Conversely, if you never give your mind a break from intense analytical focus, your capacity for breakthrough creative insight will completely dry up. Because creative leaps require a relaxed mind to allow the subconscious to connect disparate ideas. The apex of the performance pyramid is spiritual energy, the ultimate source of motivation, direction, and existential endurance. Spiritual energy has nothing to do with traditional religion in this context. Rather, it is defined as the energy derived from a deep, unshakable alignment with your personal core values and a clear sense of purpose. This is the fuel that allows an individual to endure massive physical discomfort, emotional turmoil, and mental fatigue in service of a goal that matters deeply to them. Without a powerful, self-transcendent purpose, even the most physically fit and intellectually brilliant professional will eventually succumb to a profound sense of emptiness, cynicism, and ultimate burnout. Most people in the modern corporate world are running on external, highly volatile motivators like money, fame, status, or fear of failure. These external forces are incredibly dirty, inefficient sources of fuel that generate massive amounts of internal friction and psychological pollution over time. When you shift your orientation, anchoring your daily labor in an intrinsic desire to create value, master a craft, or serve a community, you unlock a nearly limitless, self-renewing reservoir of spiritual energy. It transforms your daily tasks from a series of exhausting obligations into a meaningful, deeply fulfilling expression of your core identity. To operationalize these 4 dimensions of energy and integrate them permanently into our chaotic lives, we must rely on the power of positive rituals. Willpower and self-discipline are highly overrated, extremely finite psychological resources that drain quickly every time we make a decision, resist a temptation, or force ourselves to focus. If you have to consciously choose to pay yourself first, consciously choose to eat healthy food, or consciously choose to take a break every single day, you will eventually fail when your willpower runs dry under stress. The secret to sustainable high performance is to convert your desired behaviors into automatic, deeply embedded habits that require zero conscious thought or decision-making energy. Look at an elite athlete's pre-game routine. Every single movement, stretch, meal, and visualization exercise is precisely choreographed and executed on absolute autopilot. By building explicit, non-negotiable rituals around how you start your morning, how you structure your work blocks, and how you transition from your professional day into your personal recovery time, you take the burden off your finite willpower. You no longer have to debate whether you should take a break or exercise. The ritual executes itself automatically, preserving your cognitive energy for the deep, high-value creative work that actually drives your destiny forward. Ultimately, the power of full engagement is an urgent biological manifesto that demands a total revolution in how we value human capital. It forces us to reject the toxic, badge of honor culture of chronic overwork, sleep deprivation, and permanent availability that modern society uses to measure dedication. True greatness does not belong to the person who sits at their desk the longest while slowly drowning in a sea of exhaustion and distraction. It belongs to the individual who knows how to step onto the field of play with absolute, concentrated intensity, and then possesses the profound wisdom to step off the field to rest, recover, and rebuild their energy for the next battle. By treating your energy as a sacred, finite resource that must be systematically managed, protected, and expanded across all 4 dimensions, you break free from the cycle of mediocrity and burnout forever. The next time you find yourself staring at a screen, forcing an exhausted mind to push through another hour of dull labor, pause. Honor your biology, and remember that your greatest work is born out of full engagement, not endless endurance.